This is another tough one. This one comes out of Scranton, Pennsylvania. And the story is there's a cab driver doing a job, working hard, and some 16-year-old punk in his cab. And there's some dispute over which route the cab driver is taking. It results in a murder. Here are the details from reporter Peggy Lee from our Scranton affiliate, WNEP.
What did you say to him when you had him in the cab together?
I didn't say to him. Just told him take this way. He didn't want to listen. He got his ass shot.
Aziz Richardson not only showed no remorse for allegedly killing a Scranton cab driver, he also appeared to justify it.
If my homies died, everybody got to die.
Scranton police charged Richardson with numerous felony charges, including murder in the first, second, and third degrees for the shooting death of McCarthy cab driver Vincent Darbenzio. Investigators say Darbenzio picked up Richardson at this double-block home on Washburn Street around 3 in the morning, then drove him to Valley View Terrace Apartments. Darbenzio's body was found around 5 a.m. on Crown Avenue, hanging out of his driver's side door with 2 gunshot wounds to the head. Tracking cell phone records of who called the cab, police were led back to the double-block home on Washburn Street and found Richardson hiding in the attic with a handgun in a bag and took him into custody. Richardson told police he killed Darbenzio because the cab driver was taking the long way to get to Valley View and ignored Richardson when he told him shortcuts. Richardson said Darbenzio was ripping him off by trying to run up the meter, so he shot him twice, then stole $500 off him.
And you shot him twice? Why twice?
Because that's what I do to people that don't listen.
Police do say that Richardson himself did not call for the cab, but a female living in the adjoining apartment called for him. She told police she didn't know Richardson personally, that he told her he didn't have a phone, and he asked that she call a cab for him.
What about your parents? Do you have anything to say to your family?
I love y'all.
What about the victim's family?
Did you hear that last little statement, his message to the victim's family? We had to bleep it out. Couldn't even hear it. We're going to talk more about this. This one is really, really difficult. This guy's a hard-working cab driver. He's got 2 kids. Let me bring in the dream team. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where it comes from, Joey Jackson. At age 16, to be that cold, to care that little about your fellow man, to take a father's life, 2 shots in the head.
Absolutely, and not only the callous action, the cowardice action that he engaged in, but then examine his behavior thereafter. Because he didn't listen to me? Because that's what I do? What kind of beast acts like that? Where does it come from? Does it come from home? Could we examine where he grew up? Does it come from the classroom and who was surrounding him? But, I mean, you got to look and you have to examine what can be done about something like this, where at 16, you were so invested to being a thug, to being a criminal, and being a murderer. It does not bode well for the future, and certainly he needs to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
You know, seeing that attitude on display is so troubling, Darren.
It is.
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of keynote speaking around the country, and I talk to people of all ages, and it's amazing to me how sophisticated, how cynical younger and younger people are becoming. And like Joey was saying, whether it's from the schools or whether it's from the parents or whatever it is in the environment, we really need to spend more energy in reaching kids at a younger and younger age so that we can try and stem the tide of this. As Joey says, to be that invested in that level of callousness, it's just shocking.
Mike, I mean, you were a cop. Have things changed? I mean, did you see things like this, you know, back when you were working the streets?
Yeah, it was amazing that sometimes you see 14, 15, 16-year-olds like this, just like this guy, that have no value of life whatsoever, that, you know, that are stuck in a certain community, that they think they need their street cred. And I bet you, Vinny, I bet you they close out maybe other assault cases or shootings in Scranton in that area, because it doesn't sound like that was the first time that he shot somebody.
Joey Jackson, what do you think about life without parole for a 16-year-old? And if so, this guy might be in the front of the line.
You know, it's a dicey issue because just evaluating it, when you look at this, I mean, you want him to be in jail forever. You want him to be underneath the jailhouse, and the jailhouse should never rise, given his attitude for sure. But when you examine the broader issue, Vinny, it is true that juveniles are juveniles for a reason. They don't have the mental capacity that others do, that we form when we're adults, to make rational, reasonable decisions. And in light of that, there is some hope for juvenile justice and rehabilitation, which is why the system itself, where juveniles is concerned, is geared towards rehabbing them so that they can understand, so that they can learn, so that they can be user-friendly into society, and that they can be people, normal people, and not people like we see, like this.
There's no rehab in this kid, though. I don't think there's any rehab in this kid at all.
Janelle, Mo, whatever happened to the days of riding a bike home at the age of 16? Hashtag on the case. Susie Q729, defense attorney's worst nightmare. This kid. True, Darren?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. When you're defending somebody, you want to be able to point to some sort of helpful facts, either about the case or about your client. And it seems that on these facts you have neither. But to Joey's point, the whole focus of the juvenile justice system for people who are under the age of 18 is that there's some grain of hope for rehabilitation, although in this case it seems like it's so far out of reach. But we've seen it over and over again, seemingly miraculous transformations, and this kid does need a miracle.
Angie Torres, that teenage mutant punk needs to rot in jail. He had no right killing that cab driver. And I can understand that. And you know, sometimes people argue, you know, if someone's under the age of 18, they commit an offense, murder, right? And you know, life without the possibility of parole is cruel and unusual punishment. Well, it's something less. It's not the death penalty. But the question is, our system is set up to do a couple of things. One is to punish, but the other is to protect the rest of us, the innocent ones, like the cab driver, Vincent, who was just working hard to support his family. You know, Joey?
It's a great point, Vinny, and to that issue, right? Rehabilitation is one aspect, and that's where juveniles are concerned, but the other is punishment, and punishment should rightly be exacted upon people who engage in behavior like this. And the other is deterrence, to send a message that this is unacceptable, that this will not be tolerated, and if you engage in behavior like this, expect and anticipate not to see the light of day. And so the question then becomes, Vinny, what do we do with juveniles, and is life appropriate for a juvenile who doesn't have the mental capacity? That's a tough one with me. I still do believe that a juvenile can be better, can do better, and can reintegrate into society in some way. This particular person, that's another matter, but juveniles in general deserve the benefit of rehabilitation.
Deborah on Facebook says his family values are probably why he is the way he is. Parents don't teach their children values anymore. Sylvia, Facebook, my prayers go out to the cabbie and his family. This kid needs serious help, but he can get that in prison where he belongs.
Ditto. I totally agree with her. Yeah. There are cases. I agree with Joey. There are some teens that can be rehabilitated, but you look at this one. This one's a lost cause.
Here's one from YOLO41 Honky. Was the 16-year-old broke? Maybe the real motive. Maybe he's making it up. Here's from Doran Parnham. That kid is heartless, shaking his head. And Bunny Girl, too many people forgot the meaning of respect and too many parents not teaching it. All it does come back to home, doesn't it, Darren, ultimately?
Yeah, I think fundamentally it does. But by the way, just to circle back on one thing very quickly, in many, many states, there are laws on the books where, especially if somebody is 16 or older, that there may be a special hearing where they're found not to be an appropriate subject for juvenile court, and they will get bound over to the adult court instead. So there may be opportunities to do that, to make sure that they get those lengthy prison stays that you're talking about.
All right. This teen, this admitted killer, might care less about the man he killed, but we don't. And I want to remember the victim. His name is Vincent Darbenzio. He was born in Scranton, spent his entire life in that town. He was a father to two boys, Matthew and Zachary. He loved working on cars, was proud of his Chevy Nova. His family said he had a love for food, and this is one that really, you know, hits home. Everyone can picture this. Favorite food? Oreos, and milk. Vincent Darbenzio, 47.